What's up everyone, and welcome to my review of Resident Evil Afterlife, which is the fourth Paul Anderson Resident Evil movie. I originally meant to review this one a while back. I watched it after I reviewed the third film, Resident Evil Extinction, and I've also reviewed the first two as well, so you can check those out too if you're interested. At the time, I just bought the Blu-ray box set and was planning on watching and reviewing all 6 of the films. I did the first 3 of them and then watched this one next. But the reason it's taken me so long to get to finally reviewing this one is because it was honestly just so boring. I kind of just lost interest in doing so. But with the talk of the new movie that's just come out, it kind of got me back into that headspace, and I now feel like continue on now. Finally continuing on after about 6 months almost. And I have also watched the film after this one as well, Resident Evil Retribution, so I should have that review up probably tomorrow or something. And this review will contain spoilers, so be warned. So Afterlife is the 4th movie in the Paul Anderson live-action Resident Evil film series. It first came out in 2010 and picks up after the last film, Resident Evil Extinction. It starts with a scene in Tokyo with the outbreak there starting, and then we see an Umbrella facility there, and then it's attacked by lots of clones of Alice, where we see them all at the end of the last film. And now they're all working together to attack this facility and try and find Wesker. I thought this scene was pretty silly, to be honest, to have loads of her, and there's like 3 or 4 Mila Jovoviches on screen at the same time talking to each other and interacting with each other. I thought it was a bit weird, and this scene was very actiony with lots of gun battles and explosions. And I did say the last film is where they started deviating away from the events of the games, but then this one just flies off in the opposite direction and doesn't resemble the games anymore whatsoever, apart from having the same characters and some familiar BOWs. But apart from that, it feels a lot less like Resident Evil from here on out. So it kind of felt like they didn't really know where to take the idea of all the dozens of Alice clones from the end of the last film, as they are in this opening scene, but they all get killed off pretty quickly, and then we're back to just one Alice again, and her meeting up with Claire in Alaska after she took the other survivors there at the end of the last film, who, to be fair, actually does look a lot more like Claire now, as in this film she has the more accurate costume. And we also see Albert Wesker towards the start, and later on too. I was going to be a smart ass and say he looked more like a cosplayer, but compared to who they got to play him in Welcome to Raccoon City and that weird Netflix series, if that ever comes out, I guess I can't complain too much about this depiction of the character. I mean, at least here they actually tried. So then Alice meets Claire in Alaska, but Claire attacks Alice because she was being controlled, and then she has to subdue her, and then they get in an aeroplane to go find where the others were taken. So Alice flies them to Los Angeles, and then they see some people on a rooftop, and then they land there, but the plane gets stuck, so they can't take off again straight away. And then we meet the other characters, who are all pretty bland and forgettable. I don't think they were from the games, if I recall correctly. They're just made up for this film. And then they take them down into the building, which is where they're living and sheltering from the zombies. And we find out that it's this huge prison. And when the outbreak started, I think they let the prisoners go, or they might have escaped or something, but now these survivors are living there. And they have Chris Redfield locked in a cage, who looks absolutely nothing like Chris Redfield, the actor who plays him. I've seen his face, but I can't remember who he is or what I've seen him in before. I think he might have just been one of those bland, forgettable actors who was around in like 2009 and then everyone forgot about shortly after. You know, like a sort of actor who'd be in something like Terminator Salvation or Battle Los Angeles or something like that. And then the zombies get in and start killing off some of the characters. I think it was in this one where it had Las Plagas zombies, but here they can dig underground and then pop up like out of the walls or the ground for some reason. I don't know why. And then there's an executioner from Resident Evil 5, and then one of the guys steals the plane and goes to a tanker ship which is anchored just off the city in the water there. And there was I think there was a radio signal coming from it, and they thought that was where the survivors would be kept because the ship was owned by Umbrella. After that, they go to the Umbrella ship and find that there were survivors there, but Wesker's there too, and then Alice, Claire and Chris all fight and defeat him. Some of the fight was a little bit like Resident Evil 5, I guess because that was the newest game at the time, and it had some more references to that game here and there. And then they beat Wesker, and then there's loads of VTOLs from Umbrella, and Jill is there with the Umbrella soldiers, and she's like how she is in Resident Evil 5 where she's being controlled, and then the movie just ends there. So overall, I wasn't really that keen on this film. Like I said earlier, the start was kind of dumb and over the top and didn't make much sense. And then when we got to the prison part of the movie, it just started to feel like a long, boring slog to get through it. And then the ship scene and fighting Wesker was a little bit better, but by then I was already praying for it to hurry up and end. I can overlook the movie not being 100% accurate to the games, and they do have a lot of the familiar characters and zombies and BOWs that I like, but my main problem is that I just didn't find it entertaining. Most of it was just boring in my opinion, and I'd say that this one was the first one of these films that I would say I did not enjoy. I was bored almost all the way through it. I didn't really get any entertainment value from it. And while the first 3 films weren't great, but I at least enjoyed parts of them and found them entertaining to some degree. But here I felt like I was just going to fall asleep. So for a rating out of 10, I'd probably give this film a 3. Not the best film, but I have also watched the film after this, which was a bit better than this one, so stay tuned for that review coming soon as well. So I think I'll wrap up my review here of Resident Evil Afterlife. Thanks for watching, let me know what you thought of the film if you've seen it, like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.